When I was 6 years old, everything was covered in something called Star Wars. It was on my snacks, it was in my doctor's waiting room, they even snuck advertising into school on my friends' lunchboxes, backpacks, and Birkenstocks. Looking back, it's really obvious why my tiny baby girl brain pretty much hated it. Let's see. Hideous monster, kid from Jingle All the Way, hideous monster. I couldn't even enjoy a can of soda without looking into the eyes of Satan. And I don't know what Taco Bell expected me to do with this. By the way, my first kiss, Jar Jar Binks, yeah, I had that. I sucked on that. It was weird. I was 6. But it wasn't just the terrifying imagery and invasive advertising that freaked me out a little bit. All over the news, they were reporting an epidemic of madness, Star Wars madness, midnight madness. So when my dad asked me if I wanted to go see The Phantom Menace with him, I was like, no! Have you seen the kind of stranger danger that goes to those things? People in their bathrobes, people who worship the devil, people dressed like Shaq. When I finally watched it a few years later, my reaction was a mixture of, I'm way too young for this.
The taxation of trade routes has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the Trade Federation.
And, I'm way too old for this. After that, I pretty much decided Star Wars wasn't for me and avoided it at all costs, until my boyfriend fell into my life.
Hello there.
He asked if I liked Star Wars, and I said no. So he asked which ones I had seen, and I said only the first one, and he said episode 1 or episode 4, and I was like,
what the hell does that mean?
He said the fourth one is actually the first one, and I said this is why I don't like Star Wars. And he explained that the original trilogy from the 70s is amazing, with Jim Henson puppets and practical effects and sexy Harrison Ford. And I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. Star Wars isn't bad, the prequels are bad.
It's treason, then.
So, this isn't a review of a video game. Surprise! This is a review of what it's like to watch Star Wars: A New Hope for the first time as an adult. Right away, this movie is just like, blam! John Williams coming in hot. Best soundtrack ever. Captures everything perfectly, but hold up a minute. They're making me read. Okay, Civil War, Evil Empire, yada yada Death Star, restore freedom to the galaxy, ...
Okay, because 3 dots means to be continued, 4 dots is a typo, but 5 dots means, whoa, do not make me say what I want to say, baby, but if I did, it would blow your mind, ... But
having seen the movie now, what I think George Lucas really meant by those 4 little dots was,
come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look.
Star Wars is pure imagination. It wasn't based on a book or a comic, it wasn't a remake or a reboot, and yet the hundreds of people responsible for set design, wardrobe, props, sound, special effects, and performances each managed to imagine something that became iconic. And all of those vastly different art forms create such a cohesive atmosphere and well-established world that it's hard to believe Star Wars appeared out of thin air. Being built from the ground up for the medium of film is what makes A New Hope so authentic and transportive. I didn't go into it with preconceived notions like Hermione should be uglier, or Harry should be uglier, or Ron should be he's just right, actually. I went into it simply thinking, this is exactly what a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away is supposed to look and sound like. It's timeless. And when other Star Wars films look like this, and are made like this, something feels off. So I propose,
Lisa proposed,
that if Disney made a Star Wars film and focused their imaginations on the film techniques used in the original trilogy, it would be more effective at recreating the galaxy everyone knows and loves. Crisp, state-of-the-art CGI is beautiful, and wearing 3D glasses on top of my normal glasses is fun, but The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi felt more like being at Disneyland than being far across the universe. Presentation isn't the only important element in a great Star Wars movie, though. The plot needs to be just as immersive, and A New Hope is a masterpiece. George Lucas did what all the greatest writers do: steal. He simply took the hero's journey and put it in space. Luke is Frodo, is Harry, is Neo. Obi-Wan is Gandalf, is Dumbledore, is Morpheus. His lightsaber is the ring, is a wand, is leather. Princess Leia is Circe.
He's my brother.
But it's how he told the hero's journey that made Star Wars transcend from something that stole into something that is stolen from. Instead of watching A New Hope again for this review, my boyfriend thought a clever way of proving how powerful the movie is would be to recall the plot as best I can from memory, after only having seen it once over a year ago. So basically, there's a small ship and a big ship, and the small ship is like, uh-oh, here comes the space Nazis, then Space Hitler chokes a dude and captures Princess Leia, who is his daughter, but she doesn't know that yet, and I'm pretty sure neither did George Lucas. The comic relief bots escape with the Death Star plans, and then they get kidnapped by dwarves and potato sacks, and I remember a droid that's clearly just a dude with a trash can on his head. Luke buys the comic relief bots and finds a secret message.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Which is the first of many famous lines that I'll recognize and turn to my boyfriend like.
I understood that reference.
They drink paint and Luke wants to go to college, but Uncle Ben is too strict, so he watches the twin sunset instead, and John Williams is like, have you ever heard the sound of despair, a call from the void to do something great, and a glimmer of hope all at once? 'Cause here it is! And then I cried, and I related to Luke for the rest of the movie. Obi-Wan goes, whoa! And it's never addressed again how he made that sound.
Hello there.
Luke gets his father's lightsaber, his aunt and uncle get roasted by stormtroopers, they go out for a drink and there's a butthead band, but Man Bear Pig doesn't like you either, so Obi-Wan cuts his arm off, which seems like an overreaction for a Jedi. Now Harrison Ford and Bigfoot are gonna take us to Alderaan, but not before Han murders Panic Pete wearing a ski coat. Lightspeed! That doesn't look like a safe place to stand. Bye Alderaan, bye Jimmy Smits, bye Spider-Man. That's no moon.
I understood that reference.
Luke and Han get into Stormtrooper cosplay.
A little short for a stormtrooper.
Which might explain why that one guy totally hits his head. Ew, he was just swimming in garbage. Also, he's your brother. Oh my god, look at his red one. They have a really silly looking sword fight, and my theory about this epic move is that Obi-Wan is mocking Vader for that time he said.
I'll try spinning, that's a good trick.
They escape with the princess, play lovers in a dangerous space-time.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
And Luke totally has a crush on his sister, but he doesn't know it was his sister, and I'm pretty sure neither did George Lucas. Now they have to destroy the Death Star, so they hop in their X-Wings, and this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, plus a fat guy named Porkins. Pretty much everyone dies. It's all up to Luke. Darth Vader closing in. Han comes back to finish his character arc, and the way Vader says, "What?" really cracked me up.
What?
Come on, Luke. You used to bullseye Womp Rats in your TI-84 back home. Woohoo! They won the Olympics. And then Aragorn says,
You bow to no one.
so how did I do? The point I'm trying to make is that Star Wars becomes a part of you. It's impossible to forget. Everyone feels like a Luke sometimes. Everyone needs an Obi-Wan, and everyone wants to meet a hot guy with a cute dog. I don't know about that incest stuff, though. I can't believe how many awesome, iconic things appear in one movie that came out of nowhere. The architecture, ship design, fashion, creatures, technology, and all of the performances make every single frame distinctly Star Wars. They literally had an entire galaxy's worth of ideas. Pure imagination. Alright guys, thanks for letting us switch up our content real quick. Sometimes I just gotta talk about Star Wars, you know? If you like movie reviews, let us know, cause there's a ton of good and bad movies my boyfriend has made me watch. Next week, we're reviewing one of our most requested games, Horizon Zero Dawn. I have a lot to say about them flesh-eating robots. Thanks again, bye!